Trigger warning. You might want to turn your volume down for this.
In case you were wondering, you just heard a horse screaming. Anyways, hey guys, and welcome to the first episode of our podcast, Smelly Fibers. Such a lovely name, right? Carrying on, I would like to begin by introducing everyone who contributed to the production of this podcast. Starting with myself, of course, I'm Jaden.
Hi, I'm Brianna.
And I'm Sophia.
Now that we're done with the introductions, let's start discussing our main topic.
The three of us were given the task of finding a painting that stood out to us. Originally, we chose a painting called Happy Family. However, there wasn't much information on the illustration, so we tried to find a different one. Guess that family wasn't so happy after all.
You're not funny.
After wandering the halls for a bit, we chose a painting titled The Marriage Contract, created by Jan Steens. This illustration was located on the second floor in the main hallway. The painting displayed many people busy in a room. However, the main focus is three people huddled on a table, signing a document. A man posing oddly and a bride standing a little further from everyone else. When first viewing the painting, we formed the question of why did the bride look like she wasn't involved in her own marriage?
Well, judging by the title of the painting and its contents, we concluded that Steen was trying to depict the process of an arranged marriage or marriage contract. After forming this question, we were able to create a question to research. How did the marriage norms during this time affect women?
Before answering our research question, we gathered background information on the origins of the painting. As previously stated, it was created by Jan Steen. Steen made it around 1667 and 1668 in Leiden, Netherlands. It was donated to our school by Robert Gwendoling, who was a part of the 29th graduating class.
We also did some additional research on the painter himself.
Now it's time to get funky.
Born in 1626, the creator of the painting, Jan Steen, spent his life in Leiden, Netherlands. Steen was guided by the famous Dutch painter, Jan van Goyen. Eventually, Steen married the daughter of Van Goyen, Margaret. During 1649, during their marriage, they had 7 children. Unfortunately, his wife died in 1669, and a year later, his father shared the same fate. Steen remarried 4 years later to Marjorie van Egmont and had 1 child together. However, Steen couldn't seem to catch a break, and later, his second wife died as well.
So funny.
Steen's story eventually came to an end, and he died in 1679.
In Europe, arranged marriages began around the 1500s. Arranged marriages were very common among royals and rich people as a means to unite different families and cousins. What? The father and or man of the house was responsible for choosing who the bride would marry, which was typically practiced in Western Europe. This being said, women ultimately had no say in their own marriages. Around the late 1500s, a rebellion brewed. Women began retaliating against the legal courts that were run by the Catholic Church. A majority of women appealed to the church court and were able to win their cases against their fathers.
Tastes like Genevieve. Anything you want, I go be. I be right here, I don't leave. All my love, girl, me, she give me African waist like Tiwa. She won't give me that work like Rihanna.
We were initially interested in addressing this question of the second lens to explore in which ways European culture is different from that of Africans. Since Africa is a continent with multiple different cultures, we decided to use Nigeria and one of its tribes as a reference. The Hausa tribe is located in northwest Nigeria and southwest Niger. It is the largest ethnic group in the Hausa tribe, which intermixes with the Fulani, Igbo, and Yoruba tribes.
Ah, yes, Africa. My favorite country.
Many people have the misconception that Africa's a country for some reason, even though that's entirely false.
Yeah, it's literally a continent.
I mean, like your racist grandma.
Yeah, like, so if you ever
She really went to visit Africa in the summer when she went to Zimbabwe. But
yeah,
go off, grandma.
yeah, they oftentimes people just think of Africa as Nigeria, Ghana, and things like that. In Senegal, and there's also like a lot of other countries.
I know you just do your own country.
Yes, I did, and I would do it again.
Represent, I guess.
Represent. I have to represent. Okay.
I don't know where I'm from.
Oh.
You know, I'm Caribbean, but go asking.
Slavery.
Oh, slavery.
You can't,
Slave trade.
I can't trace my lineage back that far. That's what my dad always tells me. Like when I ask him what my ethnicity is, he always says that slavery didn't allow certain people to like be able to figure out where they come from and where their culture is. So like every time I ask him what's my ethnicity, he says you're just African American, and I'm confused every time.
Slavery.
Slavery.
That's slavery for you.
For some context about this time, the start of the 17th century marked the establishment of the transatlantic slave trade.
Slave trade.
Back to our topic of interest. There was an informal slavery going on in households, specifically in Nigeria. Women were expected to be suitable wives. They needed to be obedient, not sexual, and give birth to like a lot of children. Additionally, wives were secluded from the public until experiencing menopause. A majority of people in Nigeria are Muslim and express their religion when having traditional weddings. Before the wedding itself, the family of the bride will do an investigation on the groom to discover his beliefs, ethnic background, customs, and etc. The term Gwajuwais, spelled G-A-I-S-U-W-A-I-S, refers to the process of the groom receiving approval from the bride's family. The parents of the bride establish a dowry, which is a set price to the groom that he has to pay in order to marry.
While this is true in some parts of Nigeria, different communities practice different customs and beliefs. In the Hausa tribe, homosexuality is frowned upon and homosexual people are often murdered. These murders only happen when they refuse to identify as Yandadu. Yandadu is an in-between category for people who do not follow gender norms, aka gay people. The Hausa society has one of the highest divorce rates in the world. Again, household systems are no less intense than the Western world. While they are different, they are very much the same in that way. Some challenges answering this question from an African lens might be finding information about this specific topic, seeing as it differs from white standards.
Facts from our research showed that during this time, it was common to see women unhappy in their arranged marriages. Nothing has changed. Since the woman's father chose the husband, and this is something done by mostly wealthy people, the father could be more worried about finances and status, clouding his judgment about who was the best fit for his daughter. Her dad's the original city girl.
No, literally, city girls up 100.
This could bring up the question of why it wasn't common for the mother to make the decision as well. It demonstrates the roles stripped by women simply because of their gender. This is not to say the woman had absolutely no say in their marriage. It states that if they were able to appeal their marriage, they were able to appeal their marriage to the Catholic Church. A majority of the time, their cases would be won.
In Jan Steens' works, women are shown in a sexual manner, and we assume that this is how we saw them and how they were seen in society. How we depicted them outside of a sexual light, fragile and reserved, most likely mirrored societal norms in the ideal woman of the time.
I woke up Chris Breezy.
Jan Steen, our head misogynist, along with Chris Brown, Chris Breezy.
Many people think that misogyny is just based on the hatred for women, but it's much deeper than that. It can be having these stereotypes towards them and like assumptions, but only viewing them as that and like being hypersexual and stuff like that. So like only viewing them in that light can contribute to misogyny and the discrimination of women as a whole.
Yeah. Misogyny just doesn't have to be the hatred of women as well, because men are also affected by misogyny versus how they can't cry, they're not able to be emotional.
Yeah, not able to be emotional and things like that.
We love a misogynist, but from an African perspective, most in Nigeria, we can see similarities in women's treatments. Seeing how they are expected to fulfill certain roles that revolve around being at their spouse's beck and call and give birth reveals how little freedom they have. The marriage norms in the Hausa tribe ultimately have a negative impact on women, as most marriage norms.
In both cultural lenses and even in today's society, we see purity being important, or at least not being sexual and withdrawn to everyone except the husband. We see a lot of the same ideas about monogamy only applying to women, and men are allowed to have multiple partners. In the African cultural lens, or compared to European cultural lens, we see that women are expected to be even more reserved and almost absent in life besides kids. Taking into account both lenses, it's extremely apparent that women do not benefit from arranged marriages. They never did.
With that being said, this episode of Smelly Fibers must come to an end. I would say stay tuned for the next one, but I highly doubt we'll ever do this again. Bye!